Hey, in this video, I picked a random HVAC business in St. Louis, and I'm going to show them how to get better SEO results step by step. My name is Nathan Gotch, and I'm a co-founder of 10X HVAC SEO agency, and I've worked on hundreds of HVAC and home service SEO campaigns over the last decade. So super excited to dive right in. Let's get right into it. Okay, so let's start with the most important part of this whole process, and actually has nothing to do with traffic. The part that matters the most is conversions. And so before we ever even think about doing SEO, the first thing we need to figure out is, number one, are we actually tracking conversions? That is the most critical part, because we could do perfect SEO and drive tons of great traffic to the site. But if we're not actually tracking it, you unfortunately can't improve it. So what gets tracked can get improved. So we start there. So let's just begin with that. And one of the first things we tend to look at is, does the website have call tracking set up? A very simple thing that can be done, but it can help significantly. So when I look at this, first thing I'll do is I just look at the phone number up here. Now this is positioned very, very well. It's positioned right above the fold. It's easy to see. It's great. But the downside is that when we click on this, it actually doesn't even allow us to call the phone number. It just takes us to another page. So this is going to create friction, and this friction is going to decrease our conversions. So if we were to improve this site as a whole, the first place I'd be thinking about is, how do we improve this above the fold section? And so a couple of things that I would just tweak here is, number one, having 4 different buttons up here just creates a lot of decision fatigue. So what we would rather do is just have one core call to action. So if we want more phone calls, we would prioritize the phone number. If we want more contact form submissions, we would prioritize that. But just pick one, maybe a max of 2 above the fold, okay? The next thing I would do is I would eliminate anything that is not supporting the objective, which is more conversions. So having a Facebook button above the fold is just going to incentivize your potential customers to just leave your website and end up on Facebook, where that's just not a good place for them to go if you want them to be focused on actually solving the problem that they came for. So what I would do is I would take this address here, and I would take this Facebook icon above the fold, and I would move it down to the footer. Okay, because most people are likely not visiting your address, at least that are potential customers, and you really don't want to be sending them off to Facebook. You want to keep them isolated on the website, okay? And this is one of the big secrets of these tech giants, which a lot of people don't realize, but Facebook and X and YouTube and all these tech giant, huge monstrosities, their number one objective is to keep people trapped on these platforms. Okay. They don't want you to leave. All right. And so you should treat your business the same way. When a prospect comes to our site, we got to try to keep them here, because the objective of having a website is to drive conversions. So I would clean this whole section up above the fold, because it's the quickest win that you can have. Now, another important thing is, when we have this phone number up here, we want it to be clickable. So if someone clicks this phone number and they're on mobile, we want them to just be able to click while they're on mobile, click on your phone number and immediately be able to call you. If they can't do that, then we're just adding friction to that process. And unfortunately, speed is the name of the game when it comes to generating leads as an HVAC company. Okay. So whatever company tends to respond the fastest is the one that typically will win that business. All right. That's very, very important. So time is of the essence. So this is the first thing I would focus on. Is first, let's get call tracking in place. You can use a service like CallRail. Works perfectly fine. And then also cleaning up above the fold, because this is the most important section of your site that's going to drive the most conversions. Okay. So we start there. Now, next thing we want to do is look at the overall design and aesthetics of the site. Okay. Now, based on what I'm seeing here, this site could definitely use, let's call it a facelift, right? We use a nice facelift, modernize the design, eliminate a lot of stuff that's kind of outdated as far as modern design practices. And this just alone, people do judge a book by its cover. So a beautiful site design does influence conversion rates. And it's undeniable, basically, at this point. So there's just some, minor things that I'd be thinking about. Number one is obviously improving the overall structure to get the user focused on our conversion objectives. But most importantly, not using a slider. Most websites these days don't use sliders anymore because they're not particularly useful. And then just having more stuff down here that's actually going to persuade someone to work with us. We need to have some levels of social proof. I already looked at this business, and on Google, they've got tons of beautiful reviews, but on the website, we wouldn't even know that they had any reviews. And so what I would do is I would prioritize the proof above everything else. Show the proof that you're actually good at what you do and prioritize that. It's great that you've been doing this since 1973. That is nice, but it's much better to see that you've actually helped customers and you've got actual reviews. Okay. So you should prioritize that on the homepage and across the entire website, because that's going to help drive even more conversions. So this could get a nice facelift. The homepage, the site as a whole could certainly do that. Okay. So that's on the conversion and design perspective. Next thing I want to look at here is looking at the keywords. Okay, so one thing that I did see, which was actually really, really good, which I was excited to see, is if you look at the branded searches, there's actually a lot of good stuff happening here. There's a lot of traffic, at least for local level, decent amount of traffic coming in specifically for Crestside heating and cooling and other variants. Okay. So what that tells me is that there's other marketing efforts that are happening that's helping produce that branded search volume. And Google has, uses basically thousands of ranking factors at this point. But one of the ranking factors that most SEOs can agree upon is that branded searches likely influences rankings in Google. Okay. So this is a really, really good signal. So you can build upon this. And that means you've already got a lot of good stuff going on. Whatever other marketing methods that are being used at this point are doing the job that they need to be doing because it's supporting SEO. Now, on the other side of this is the reason why those branded searches are not translating to better SEO performance is because the pages are not built the way that they need to be built. The site is not structured the way it needs to be structured. So we can see this reflected in the performance for non-branded keywords. Okay, so when we look at the branded keywords, we got 668 organic visitors a month, roughly. This is using SEMrush. We need to see Google Analytics to know the truth. But when we look at non-branded keywords, we're basically around zero. Let's just be honest here. Probably around zero non-branded organic traffic coming in, meaning the only people that are coming into this business right now organically through Google are people that are already warm to the brand. Okay. And you can certainly grow the business that way. Undoubtedly, been around since 1973. That's a huge accomplishment. But to capture more revenue, and you have to go after colder traffic. And so people that are searching keywords like duct cleaning St. Louis, air conditioner St. Louis, heating and cooling St. Louis, and then as far as down to Baldwin, AC repair Baldwin, these are the non-branded types of queries that we need to be ranking for. And you can see here in this position column, there's a lot of opportunity to improve. You have to be on page one. And to be honest, you really got to be in the top 5 to get the most CTR. Otherwise, it's just going to be really, really difficult. So a lot of room here to lift. And what I'm about to show you, it makes a lot of sense why these pages aren't doing particularly well. And I'm going to show you why that is. So a couple things here. First, before we dive into that, let's talk more about the Google Business Profile. Okay, so we use a tool called Local Falcon, and we can see how you're ranking with your Google Business Profile. Okay, so we got the Google Business Profile here, and we searched HVAC contractors. So what that's telling us is how well you're ranking for that keyword in Google's local pack. Okay, in the Google Maps, when someone is searching in this proximity here. Okay, so you can see right where your address is, you're ranking number 7, which means when it comes to the local pack, Google only shows 3. Okay. So, some people call it a 3-pack, and you're only going to see 3 businesses there. So if you're not in that top 3, you're virtually invisible. And almost, I'd say probably 90% plus of the business goes to the 3 HVAC companies that are ranking there. And then everyone else is just fighting for the scraps. So you have to be in the top 3. And we can see this across all the important keywords. Air conditioning repair, it's the same issue that's going on here. It's just not performing the way that it needs to, which means you're just missing out on a massive amount of leads and customers that could be coming organically. Now, this one's doing better, furnace repair service. You can see, but only really close to where the office is, right? So right where the office is, getting some good traction there. But once we any level of expansion, it's virtually invisible. right? So lots of room to improve here. And the way we improve local pack performance is we got to become obsessive with reviews. We have to generate reviews kind of like Mad Men and Mad Women. Okay. It's like the most important variable because right now you've got that physical address that's located pretty decently. You're probably still going to have a hard time ranking in downtown, but you could certainly capture more ground in this area and expand that radius a little bit more. But you have to get really serious about reviews. It's so, so important. Okay. And then the content. All right. So there's a lot of opportunity to improve content. Couple quick things, just looking at the service pages. I mean, they're just blank. So, we're right at the bottom here. So we could certainly make these significantly better. And the way that we really attack this is we have to have a service page that is specific to that core thing that we're doing. So we need to have cleaning services in St. Louis. We need to have furnace repair services in St. Louis. And then we need to replicate those same kind of solutions in other areas that we also service. So I saw a couple examples of this is like we have, we'll look at the service areas. Okay. So look at the service areas and you'll see we've got all these service areas that this company serves. And we'll go to just, Depair, for example. Okay. And some of these, service area pages don't even have any content at all. And the ones that do, like this one here, Baldwin, is not really built to rank super well. Okay. So a couple of quick things we can look at is if we just look at the detailed Chrome extension, we can see that there's not even heading tags on this page itself. And so headings are what Google uses to understand a page when it first comes in, right? It's going to come into the page, its crawler is going to come in and it's going to look at those headings and it's going to read those headings to try to understand what this page is all about. Okay, so you have to have proper structure, which means H1 tag, H2 tag, H3 tag, and so on and so forth. One thing that we do is we use a tool called Rankability. And so we'll actually scan a page like this and see how well it's optimized. So I'll just show you the report here just for free. You can see this report of this URL, but you can see like overall, all of these topics here. So we can actually go to unused and you'll see these are all topics that need to be discussed on this page, but not only be discussed on this page, but we also need dedicated pages to support some of these topics as well. So like air conditioning system, this is a key word where we should create a dedicated page specifically for that. So air conditioning systems in Baldwin, Missouri, air conditioning systems in St. Louis, Missouri. Okay. Because we need to capture all of that or all those organic searches. Okay. So what we can do is we can look at these topics here that the competitors are using, because you can see when you click on these, this is actually showing you what competitors are talking about this. Okay. So you can see Yelp is talking about this. It looks like, Comfort Solutions STL and all these different businesses are talking about these topics. Okay. And so what that tells us is that Google is rewarding them because they're covering a lot of these topics. So if we want to be able to compete, we also have to cover the same topics. It's just kind of like bare minimum to get into the game. Okay. So that's the first part is like, first we want to just optimize based on the intent. So if it's AC repair Baldwin, Missouri, which is the main key word of this page, right? AC repair Baldwin, Missouri, and you can see the relevance 10 out of 10, that needs to be the subject of that page. Okay. So right now we've got kind of what I would consider more of a catch-all page. This is a catch-all page where we're trying to go after, heating and cooling and furnace repair and air conditioning repair and everything on one page. It just doesn't work. Because the reason why it doesn't work is not necessarily from an SEO perspective. That is one piece of it, but it's also from a conversion perspective. And if you were to create a Google Ads landing page that you would go and drive like actual clicks to using Google Ads, you wouldn't want to have all these services on there. You would want to have one solid service that you are offering. Right. So if it's AC repair, that entire page must be focused on AC repair and the city that you're going after. If it's air conditioning maintenance, that's a totally different type of intent. Someone whose AC breaks down in the summer has a certain level of urgency that needs to be focused on in the copywriting and the page itself versus someone who's just looking for a maintenance package, right? So different levels of intent, different levels of urgency. And so the page and the copy and the way that page is structured should all align with solving that one unique problem. And so what you do, the good news is from an SEO perspective and a PPC perspective, you can build the same page that can actually solve both of those goals. So if you build a good page, it will be better for SEO and it will be better for Google Ads as well. So Can't stress this enough. It's really, really important. So what we would do is we would, want to focus on building each individual page. We would have a page for each of these core services. In addition to that, we would use the topics the competitors are covering to make sure that our pages are highly comprehensive. So you can see like right here, this rankability score, it's just a measurement of relevance. So we want to make the pages relevant as humanly possible. And then we also want to make sure that we're at least hitting a minimum word count, because this ensures that the level of depth is sufficient for that keyword. Okay, so around 500 words here would be where we would target. So that's on the content side. And then the next piece of this to kind of take this to the next level, which I kind of mentioned here already, is topical authority or topic authority. So we can see here with this competitor, just to give you a small example of someone that's doing this pretty well, you can see they've got the heating section, they've got the cooling section, they've got energy efficiency, and they've got heat pumps. They've got all of the solutions outlined here very, very well. But on top of it, they've got dedicated pages to each of these solutions. Now, I think they're being a little aggressive with the anchor text. This is the anchor text, which is like the clickable text of a link. You don't typically want to put the location in the actual navigation. It's just much too aggressive from an SEO perspective. This would be fine just putting furnace installation. That would be totally okay. You'd get the same outcome without the risk. But the thing that they are doing really well is they have a dedicated page here that's specifically, you can see here in the URL, Furnace Services St. Louis. Okay. Now, furnace repair would have been a little more specific, probably better off, but still pretty close to where it should be. So furnace repair in St. Louis, they've got a nice call to action, and you can see their phone number is clickable. And then we go over to the right here and they got a beautiful form that's going to work perfectly for conversions. And then a nice page overall, right? Pretty deep page, nice design. So there's a lot to learn from what they're doing here. They're doing a very nice job with some slight tweaks. But the reason I wanted to show you this is because this is how you should be covering these topics. This is how you build localized topic authority. It's not about creating more blog content. It's about covering all the commercial keywords to the fullest extent. That's really, really important. And plus, that's going to actually improve conversion rates as well, because you're sending people to the appropriate page based on their unique problem that you're trying to solve. Okay, so it's really important. And then aside from that, the other big one here is, about 87% of the pages on this website have zero organic traffic. And I don't have access to Google Analytics and Google Search Console, but if I did, I would have even more data to kind of prove this point. But I use a third-party tool called Ahrefs. And what I can do is I can look at the overall organic keyword profile. And you can see here, just in this column, this traffic column, this is how much traffic each individual page on this site is getting. Okay. And I can see, just roughly how much traffic roughly they're getting organically. And you can see most of the pages are getting just a goose egg, no organic traffic whatsoever. So what that tells me is there's opportunities to restructure and prune and just improve the efficiency of this website as a whole. There's just so many low-hanging fruit, so much opportunity on this website. So if you're someone who's trying to learn how to do HVAC SEO, I hope this helped you. And if you're an HVAC company that's established and you want us to come in and help you with your HVAC SEO campaign, good news, that's all that we do. We do completely free SEO diagnosis, so it is only for qualified candidates. But if you go down here, you'll see just book a call into your details. And then if it's a good fit, we'll go ahead and book that call with you and you'll speak with my partner. And he's going to do a full analysis of your situation. And then he's going to come to that call and show you the opportunities. Simple as that. You can just go to 10xhvacseo.com. And if you want to see more HVAC SEO advice, more digital marketing advice, I'm going to be publishing a lot of these coming up here very soon. So make sure you subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.